So plants lives producing their own food by themselves that we know as photosynthesis. Simply, we can say food processing method of green plant we know as photosynthesis. Okay, so how are we going to make cake at our home? You might know very well. Okay, so when we're going to make a cake, that is a one kind of a food. Am I correct? Okay, so when you're going to make that cake, you need some raw materials. Am I correct? Can you make cake without raw materials? Can you make cake? Can you make cake without raw materials? No, right? Okay, so you need definitely raw materials. Then what are the raw materials that you require to prepare cake?
Eggs, flour,
Eggs,
sugar.
sugar. Can you make cake without eggs, flour, butter? Without all those things, can you make cake? Can you make?
No, teacher.
No, we can't. So you know, to make that food, we require raw materials. Without that raw materials, we can't prepare that food. That is really basic thing. So even though when the plants making food, they require raw materials. Okay. Not only the when you're going to bake cake, you need some conditions. Am I correct? When you're going to make cake, not only the raw materials that you need to have. So you need to have some conditions as well. What are the conditions that you need? What are the conditions that you need? Yes, tell me.
Measurements.
Yes, you need to heat it. Am I correct? You need to bake it. You need to heat. That is the one condition that you require. So what is the other conditions that you need?
The correct measurements of the ingredients.
Yeah, definitely. You're correct. What else?
We
You
need
need some conditions. You need to heat into the so through that. Even though when you take a plants, when they're going to make food, so they need conditions. So we are going to learn about what are the conditions and the raw materials that we require to do the photosynthesis. So here is the photosynthesis made. So here is the introduction. Okay, so we depend on animals and we depend on plants. Therefore, we are heterotrophic. So when you take autotrophic mean, they are not depend on any food. They're producing their own food by themselves. Okay. So they supplying their nutrition by themselves. So this is therefore we call the plants as autotrophic organisms. Plants utilizing food in their plant body by intaking sunlight inside of the chlorophyll, by taking water and carbon dioxide. So they're producing food. Okay, so that we know as simply photosynthesis. But we need water. What else we need? Water,
sunlight,
carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. So those are the raw materials that we need. Okay, so those are raw materials. So when you take the conditions mean, so as you said, sunlight is a condition. Okay, so that is a condition. Okay, so when you take the raw materials, again for you, I'm a little bit recalling, raw materials that we need for the photosynthesis is water and carbon dioxide. And we need a conditions, we need sunlight is not a raw material. That is a condition that you require. Sunlight. Not only that, you need to have chlorophyll. Okay. So what does mean by the chlorophyll? You know, the plants become green in color because of the green color pigment which available inside of the plant. What is that green color pigment we call? You know, that pigment we know as chlorophyll. Then what is the function of the chlorophyll? So Pute, when you take a systematically higher plants, only the chlorophyll remain. Okay, so that's mean the primitive plants, they don't have chlorophyll pigment in their body. Usually there are two chlorophyll types available, like chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. So those are available systematically higher plants, in higher plants. Okay, so in our surrounding plants are systematically higher plants, therefore inside of their body chlorophyll remain. What is the function of the chlorophyll? The chlorophyll's function is to, what is? To capture sunlight. They are detect sunlight. Why? Why they detect sunlight? Because cells need energy source. It's need energy. So that energy that they require, they need to capture. So who is the one that capturing that energy? Chlorophyll is the one. Okay. So chlorophyll. As I said you, there are two types, A and B. It is for your further knowledge. Okay. So now what we're going to learn. So these are the conditions and raw materials. Now we're going to learn about the photosynthesis equation. So as you previously, I told you, so what are the conditions that we need? Okay. So these are the factors affecting to the chlorophyll. As you can see it in here clearly. Chlorophyll, water, sunlight, carbon dioxide. Those are the things that you need. Okay. So here is the equation for photosynthesis. Okay. So when you come to the photosynthesis, now you know, I'm going to write in here the photosynthesis equation. So we are using the carbon dioxide, water to produce this food inside of the green plant. What they're producing is glucose and oxygen. These are the final outcome of the photosynthesis. The sunlight and chlorophyll. Can you see the sunlight and the chlorophyll available on the arrow? Why it's on the arrow? Why it's not? Because those are conditions. When you're writing an equation, okay? So usually, you know, when you're writing a chemical equation, you're mentioning the ingredients and the raw materials in this side, and you're going to make an arrow and you're writing the product in here. Products, okay? So when you take a product, so the conditions that you require for that chemical equation, you take in the carbon dioxide. So you know, when you take there are tiny pores are available. When you take a plant leaf, okay, the inverted side of the plant leaf having a tiny small pores. Okay, so this tiny small pores be known as stomatal pores. So I'm going to enlarge pore. So through this small pore, so they are going to absorb the carbon dioxide into the leaf. So this is how they're going to absorb the carbon dioxide. Then how they're going to take the water? The water they are absorbing by their root system. Very simple. Then the sunlight is outside. Chemical formula of the carbon dioxide, how to write? CO2. We need water for this. Water. How to write the water? H2O. Chemical formula of the water. Then after, arrowhead. Okay. So we should have to, what are the two conditions that we required for this is sunlight and chlorophyll. So sunlight, I'm writing on my arrowhead. Chlorophyll, here as well I'm writing. This is because this is chemical formula. This is word formula. Okay. What is the main product? Main product,
Glucose.
keep remain in your head. C6, H2O, O6. How to write oxygen? O2.
Okay.
How to balance this? Look at here. 6, 6, 6. In here 6. Don't add 6 to the glucose because it's have 6 carbon already. Okay. So then teacher, it's already balanced. You can check it now. Okay. How many carbons are there? 6 carbon. How many carbons are there? 6 carbon. Okay. How many hydrogens are there? 12 hydrogen. How many hydrogens in this side? 6 multiplied by 2. How? 12. Okay. How many oxygens are there? 6 multiplied by 2, 12. And here 6 oxygen, 6, 12, and 6, 18. 18 oxygens. Now in here, 6 multiplied by 2, 12. 12 plus 6, 18. We balance carbon, we balance hydrogen, we balance oxygen. There are furthermore elements available to balance. No, right? Then overall equation got balance. But don't balance, well, you need to write the balance equation, but don't go to balance it when you go to the exam. Right? Balance should be in your head. Very easy. 6 into, don't add the 6 into the glucose, add 6 into the carbon dioxide, water, and oxygen.